Hey y'all, this is Sam with the Roots of Change Agency, and we are back with Joe Cardillo to geek out about Mastodon and really talk about the future of social media and how we can get out of our big tech trapped and shittified platforms. So, how's it going, Joe?
Yes, glad to be here, Sam. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you about Mastodon because you and I have really been geeking out there and kind of evolving and growing and figuring things out. And so I feel like now we can really kind of talk about our experiences and how we transitioned and how we're growing on the independent Fediverse. I would love for you to kind of give us a little bit of a lay of the land, and I, of course, can add to it as well of like, what is the Fediverse and kind of why do we care?
Yeah, for sure. The Fediverse is, I guess, for all you Star Trek or potentially Star Wars fans, the Fediverse is kind of like a nickname for independent social media that's not owned by billionaires. And it's actually a whole constellation or a galaxy of independent social media platforms that connect to each other. And so they all have different kind of aspects to them. Think about like what if Instagram and Snapchat and other social media networks could actually share content across the users. That's basically what the Fediverse is. And there's like more technical explanations than that, but I think that's the simplest version. And so Mastodon is like the most public or visible version of that. I think that has, I want to say somewhere around 15 million users. Could be more, could be less. I don't really remember the exact number. But there's a whole stack of other ones like Friendica and PeerTube, which is kind of like a YouTube style social network and things like that. And so those comprise the Fediverse, and you can sign up through any one of those essentially, and they then kind of connect to each other. And so that's sort of the short version. I think one other thing that is important to mention is like the actual code that it's all built on, like the open source project. All those different sort of code bases that go with those different parts of the platform are all, not owned by billionaires. So it's not like they're closed and they could turn it off or shut it off at any time. There are definitely arguments in the open source, software community, and people are like, "Screw you! I'm going to split this platform." And there's a fork there and a fork there. That definitely happens. But I think it's sort of notable in that it's not controlled by rich people, and so that even if some rich person wanted to come in and buy one part of that whole constellation, they couldn't control the others. And I think that's pretty significant. So still somewhat early in that sort of life. It's been about a decade since that idea has really, really taken off. But yeah, there's some really good stuff, and people are starting to find some fun ways to experiment with it. Um, and the onboarding is a lot easier than it was a few years ago. It's a lot faster.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll get into like the concrete steps of onboarding just to give folks that actual tangible action because I think, it can feel overwhelming and I get that, a lot of times just staying put can be the easiest option. But we're definitely at a point at the end of 2025 of like a lot of folks are starting to like question if we need to be moving and migrating away from Instagram and all of these harmful tech platforms. And the metaphor that I use, which is one that was used in the early 2000, the 2000s tech, um, where we talked about walled gardens. And so I think about the walled garden, the garden versus the meadow. And Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and really like Facebook is like the original one that we're talking about. We used to refer to them as walled gardens because they were beautiful gardens, like gardens of Eden, like everything you could want is on Instagram. All of your friends are on Instagram, but they are gardens and they are walled, and so you can't get out of them, and it's really hard unless it's really hard to get out of those systems, and they are very much controlled. So, like, when you see Instagram can control who gets to see an Instagram post if you're logged in or not, like, that makes it harder for folks who are not Instagram users, like, you have to be sucked into the platform. Whereas I think of Mastodon, and of course, I think it's really apt that the their mascot is kind of like a bull, like a mastodon, um, because the Meadow is how I think of the Fediverse. Like, we're banging on these doors and and we're being controlled. We can't talk about Palestine. We can't talk about all these things. But then we go over to the Meadow and it's like this vast open space. And you've got some like queer folks over there talking about like nerdy queer stuff, or you've got some folks, like scientists who are really geeking out about some new science things. And it's your choose your own adventure. There's so much opportunity there. And I think that's how we need to kind of frame it and think about it again is like these are walled gardens that are keeping us trapped. And as much as there might be some pretty things on there, we could be having pretty things where there's a lot more freedom and a lot more flexibility for us as people.